Hey everyone, welcome back to Tune In English, your daily English conversation podcast where you learn real English through real talk. I'm Adam.
And I'm Anna. We're so happy you're here with us today. If you're new, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our daily episodes.
So, Anna, I have to tell you something embarrassing that happened to me yesterday.
Oh no, I love these stories already. What happened?
I was at a coffee shop working on a design project. My laptop battery was dying, and the only free outlet was next to another table where a woman was sitting. So I walked over and said, "Can I use this outlet?"
That sounds completely normal. Very polite.
That's what I thought, but she looked at me like I had just broken some secret rule. Then the barista came over and said, very formally, "You may use the one by the window."
Ah, there it is.
And I just stood there thinking, wait, what did I say wrong? Can I? May I? Did I just fail English in public? My face got hot. I suddenly felt like I was 5 years old asking my teacher for permission to go to the bathroom.
That is actually the perfect introduction to today's topic.
Let me guess. May, might, and must?
Exactly. 3 tiny words that cause huge confusion for English learners.
And apparently for native speakers who panic in coffee shops.
Don't worry. Even native speakers don't consciously think about these differences all the time, but understanding them will make your English clearer, more confident, and more natural.
Okay, but first, what are these words officially called?
They're called modal verbs.
That sounds scary.
It sounds technical, but it's actually simple. Modal verbs are helper verbs that show things like possibility, permission, necessity, or certainty.
So they're not just about grammar, they're about meaning and attitude.
Exactly. They show how sure you are about something, or whether something is allowed, or whether something is required.
So they're kind of like emotional signals in a sentence.
I love that description. Yes, they signal your level of certainty. Think of them like traffic lights for your ideas.
Oh, I like metaphors. Go on.
May is like a yellow light. It means maybe, possible, not certain.
Okay.
Might is like a flickering yellow light, even less certain.
So the light is blinking and we're not sure if we should move.
Exactly. And must is either a bright green light, go, it's required, or a strong red stop sign, forbidden. It's powerful.
That makes so much sense already. Okay, let's start with may, since that's the word that embarrassed me yesterday.
Perfect. May has 2 main uses. The first one is for permission.
So when I said, "Can I use this outlet?"
You were asking for permission, yes, but may I sounds more formal and more polite.
So "Can I use this outlet" is wrong?
Not wrong, just less formal. Can I is common in everyday speech. You'll hear it everywhere. But may I is more respectful, especially in professional or formal situations.
So if I'm talking to my friend, I can say, "Can I borrow your charger?"
Totally fine.
But if I'm speaking to my boss...
May I borrow your charger sounds more appropriate.
So in that coffee shop, the barista wasn't correcting me, she was just being formal.
Exactly. When she said you may use the one by the window, she was giving you polite permission.
That actually makes me feel better.
Good. Now let's give our listeners some classic examples.
Okay.
May I come in? That's something you hear in movies all the time. A student knocks on a classroom door.
Very polite, very respectful.
May I sit here?
May I ask you a question?
May I see your ticket, please?
That sounds like something at the airport.
Exactly. Airport staff, hotel staff, restaurant workers, they often use may because it sounds professional.
So if you want to sound more polished in English, may is your friend.
Yes, especially in formal situations.
Okay, that's permission. What's the second use of may?
Possibility.
Ah, the maybe meaning.
Exactly. When something is possible but not certain, around a 50% chance.
So if I say it may rain tomorrow, I'm not sure.
Right, you're saying it's possible.
She may come to the party?
Maybe she will, maybe she won't. You don't have enough information.
So may is like standing in the middle of the road, not sure which direction things will go.
That's a perfect image.
Okay, I think I understand may, but now I'm nervous about might.
Good. Let's talk about might next. So let's talk about might. If May is a yellow light, might is a softer yellow, a little less confident.
So we're moving from 50% possibility to what?
Maybe 30 or 40%. It's still possible, but you feel less sure.
So if I say it may rain, I think there's a decent chance. But if I say it might rain, I'm less confident.
Exactly. Technically, that's the difference.
But be honest, in real life, do people really measure percentages in their heads?
No, and this is important for learners. In everyday conversation, native speakers often use may and might almost interchangeably. The difference is subtle.
So if I use either one in daily conversation, I'm probably fine.
Yes, especially in speaking. In formal writing or exams, teachers might expect you to show that small difference in certainty.
Interesting. Okay, let's try some examples. She might come to dinner.
That sounds like you're not very confident.
He might be late.
Again, possible but uncertain.
So far, it feels very similar to may.
Here's where might becomes really useful. Past possibility.
Past possibility?
Yes, when you're guessing about something that could have happened in the past.
Oh, like detective thinking.
Exactly. For example, she might have forgotten about the meeting.
So you're not sure, but you're guessing that forgetting is one possible explanation.
Right. Or he might have missed the bus.
That's such a common situation. You're waiting for someone and thinking, he might have missed the bus.
Yes, you're building a theory.
What about this? I might have left my keys at home.
Perfect example. And that sentence always comes with a little panic feeling.
Yes, the moment you say it, your stomach drops.
Because now you're imagining walking all the way back home.
So let me summarize. May and might both show possibility. May is slightly stronger, might is slightly weaker, and might is very common for past guesses.
Exactly. You're getting this quickly. I feel confident, which means you're about to introduce something more difficult.
You know me well. Let's move to must.
Ah, yes, the serious one.
Very serious. Must has two major uses, and both are strong.
Okay, first one,
Obligation, something required, something you have no choice about.
like rules.
Exactly. You must wear a seatbelt.
That's the law.
You must submit homework by Friday.
Strong requirements.
You must show your ID.
That sounds like airport security.
Yes, must often appears when there's authority involved, laws, rules, instructions.
My dad used to say things like, you must clean your room before dinner.
That's classic parent language.
And every time I heard must, my shoulders got tense.
Because must feels powerful. It doesn't sound optional. So if I say, you must finish this today, that sounds like an order.
Exactly. It carries weight.
Okay, but here's where I get confused. What about must not?
I'm so glad you asked. This is one of the biggest mistakes English learners make.
Uh-oh.
Must not and don't have to are completely different, and mixing them up can cause real misunderstandings.
How different are we talking?
Opposite meanings.
Opposite?
Yes, you must not park here means it's forbidden, absolutely not allowed.
So if I park there, I'll get a ticket.
Exactly, it's against the rules.
And you don't have to park here?
That means it's optional. You can park here if you want, but you're not required to.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Let's try another one. You must not tell anyone.
That's a secret. I'm forbidden to tell.
Right. Now, you don't have to tell anyone.
That means I can tell people if I want, but I'm not required to.
Exactly.
So must not equals stop sign.
Yes, red light, forbidden.
And don't have to equals optional. Green arrow, your choice.
I love that image.
I can imagine a learner making that mistake and causing serious confusion.
Absolutely. Imagine a sign in a hospital that says, you must not use your phone. That means it's prohibited.
But if it says you don't have to use your phone, that just means, well, no one is forcing you.
Completely different message.
Okay, that one feels very important.
It is. It's one of those small grammar differences that changes everything.
So that's obligation. What's the second use of must?
Strong deduction.
That sounds like detective work again.
It is, but this time you're almost certain because the evidence is strong.
I'm ready. Give me an example.
She's been working for 12 hours. She must be tired.
So I don't know 100%, but based on the evidence, I'm almost sure.
Exactly.
Okay, I like this. So with she must be tired, I'm making a strong guess based on what I see.
Exactly. You're not just guessing randomly. You have evidence.
That's the key difference between must and may or might. So if I say she may be tired, I'm not very sure.
Right, it's just one possibility.
She might be tired, even less sure.
Yes, maybe, maybe not.
But she must be tired, I'm almost convinced.
Exactly. Let's build a certainty scale. At the bottom, might. Middle, may. At the top, must.
A ladder of confidence.
I love that.
And this ladder works beautifully in everyday conversation.
Give me more examples. I want to feel this difference. Okay, he's not answering his phone. He might be sleeping.
Low certainty, just one idea.
He may be sleeping.
A little stronger.
He must be sleeping.
That sounds like I'm almost sure. Maybe it's 3 a.m. where he lives.
Exactly. The context gives you evidence.
What about weather?
Perfect topic. It might snow tonight. That sounds like a small chance.
It may snow tonight. Slightly stronger possibility.
It must be snowing.
That means I'm looking at the window and actually seeing snow.
Yes, or you see everything covered in white already.
I love how these tiny words change the feeling of a sentence.
They really do. And here's another important comparison we should talk about. Must versus have to.
Right. People say both all the time. I must go and I have to go. Are they different?
They can be. Must often feels more personal, like it comes from inside you. Have to usually feels external, like a rule or outside pressure.
So if I say I must exercise more, that sounds like my own decision.
Exactly. It's your personal commitment.
But if I say I have to exercise more, it sounds like my doctor told me to.
Yes, external reason.
Let me try another one. I must call my grandmother.
That sounds like you feel it in your heart.
I have to call my grandmother.
Maybe she told you, call me tonight.
That makes sense. But in daily conversation, do people always think about that difference?
Not consciously. In everyday speech, must and have to are often used similarly. The biggest difference really appears in the negative form, and we already talked about that.
Right. Must not equals forbidden. Don't have to equals optional.
Exactly. That's the golden rule.
Okay, let's talk about common mistakes. What do your students struggle with most?
A very common one is adding to after modal verbs. Students say, I must to go.
Ah, yes, that sounds wrong immediately.
Because modal verbs must, may, might are followed directly by the base verb, no to.
So it's I must go, not I must to go.
Correct. She may come, not she may to come.
But we say I have to go.
Exactly. That's why it's confusing. Have to is not a modal verb in the same way. It needs to.
English loves to trick people.
It really does. Another mistake is using must when you really mean should.
Oh, yes, that changes the tone, right?
Completely. If you say, you must try this restaurant, it sounds like an order.
Like I don't have a choice.
But you should try this restaurant is a friendly recommendation.
So must can feel intense.
Yes, save must for real rules, real necessity, or very strong personal feelings.
Okay, I want to practice quickly. Give me situations.
You see dark clouds and hear thunder.
It must be going to rain.
Good. Your friend hasn't arrived yet and traffic is heavy.
She might be stuck in traffic.
Perfect. You're in a library.
I must not speak loudly. It's forbidden.
Excellent. You're invited to a casual picnic, but you're tired.
I don't have to go. It's optional.
Beautiful. You're really using these naturally now.
I actually feel more confident than I did in that coffee shop yesterday.
Good. So next time, what will you say?
I'll say, may I use this outlet, please?
Very polished, very professional.
And if my battery is dying and there are no other options?
You might say, I must use an outlet soon or my laptop will die.
That's a true emergency.
And if the outlet is clearly broken.
It must be broken. The evidence is right there.
Perfect.
Before we finish, let's give our listeners one clear summary.
Okay, may, polite permission and medium possibility.
Might, lower possibility, and past guesses.
Must, strong obligation or strong deduction.
And the golden rule, must not means forbidden, don't have to means optional.
Exactly.
These 3 words may seem small.
But they must be mastered if you want to sound confident in English.
You might already be using them every day without realizing it.
So now we want to hear from you. What's something you must do every day?
And what's something you don't have to do but you choose to do anyway?
Write your answers in the comments so you can practice.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe to Tune In English and share it with a friend who's learning English.
We'll be back tomorrow with another real-life English conversation.
Until then, keep practicing.
And keep listening.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.